So we ran a session on the impact of technology on utilities. We had a number of different speakers and some interesting themes emerged. So yes, there's obviously emerging technologies that are going to impact on utilities, but the question is not just about how all these really far-reaching technologies and new things are going to impact on how we deliver electricity and other services, but how do we actually provide electricity to people who don't have any? So an interesting thing for me was one of the speakers spoke about micro-generation and in communities generating electricity to serve the community, using renewables, etc. However, that creates such an issue for the grid because it brings volatility and variability into the grid. And that's where technology steps in, to start using data points and Internet of Things type sensors to understand how that variability happens, start predicting it, and start managing the load from a central perspective. So that was one interesting aspect for me. The other thought was there's so much theft of energy on the continent. How does technology help minimize that for the utilities? And there's some interesting thoughts on that as well around Internet of Things sensors and looking for suspicious patterns of consumption around the grid. Because then it allows the utility to focus on particular areas to say, well, that's weird, that hasn't happened before. Why is the consumption suddenly spiked? There may be something going on there. The last point that came out in the conversation in the group was the rise of the smart consumer. As consumers get smarter and smarter and they're using smartphones and access to internet, they're also demanding more from their utility provider. So utility providers shouldn't just be giving you electricity. What other services can they provide? And that's where the concept of convergence around utilities and telcos starting to work a lot closer together. In fact, some utilities using their networks to provide telco services. So this is something I've seen in other industries, but to see it in the utilities industry was the first for me, and I think this is going to be a very exciting change and a very exciting world.